Thesterninator. Welcome to the channel.
Aliens! We love them. We hate them. They come in peace. They've come to annihilate us all. Despite how you feel about these strange otherworldly travelers, point is, they come in as many shapes and styles as there are stars in the sky, or flavors of ice cream at Baskin-Robbins. And since the FBI has refused to answer any of my letters, but keeps sending these unmarked vans and drones, like, play hard to get or don't, government. We get to use a little bit of experimentation and creativity with turning these aliens into Pokemon. I'm really excited, but then again, I am biased. I've been communicating with the Greys for the last couple months now, and while we have a lot in common, their want for world domination really puts a barrier between us that's something that I just can't get over. You know, like, if you want to take over the world and replace our government with strange lizard people who have plans for world domination set over the span of a 25-year incremental plan, then like, do it or stop talking about it, right? I'm babbling. My personal issues are my personal issues. Yours are yours. So let's hop into today's video. I'm the Thesterninator, but my friends call me Stern, and asking if I'm a boy or a girl feels a little outdated at this point, no? While you're here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff that makes me and YouTube happy. Now, on to the video. So, what makes an alien so alien? Looking up definitions is no help, as there are so many examples of the term that aren't what we're looking at today. Nouns, adjectives, and dangling participles aside, it seems that aliens fall under the you know it when you see it category. So, let's start with an alien that monetized the phrase into a so-so series. True, the first couple were swell, but lately the Alien franchise, it could use a little bolstering. And so why not do so by throwing some Pokemonization into the mix? But when I say alien Pokemon, you probably already guessed that we don't mean Pokemon. Deoxys aside, Pokemon already has their alien counterparts with Ultra Beasts, denizens of Ultra Space and absolute mayhem in our Pokemon world. My favorite's Blacephalon. So starting out, we'll be turning our Xenomorph into an Ultra Beast. I wanted to keep up that menacing demeanor of the creature, and so went for a more draconic body shape, which I feel is kind of going out there, turning an alien into a dragon. I get it, but I feel like it keeps that lithe and sneaky body while bringing in some reptilian features that kind of fit the vibe, all things considered. Some of the key aspects of H.R. Geiger's work, the guy who designed the Xenomorph's iconic look, are that it is that odd blend between biological and artificial. There are parts of the alien that allow it to blend in with the machinery of a ship, while its dark and slender body allow it to hide in the shadows. All of these were parts that I wanted to bring into this design and ultimately didn't stray too far from the actual Xenomorph look. Acidic blood yet to be determined. Looking at the otherworldly atmosphere of this thing, I wanted to give it just a bit of uncanniness, and so decided to divide up the back into having a second spinal column outside of the body. Very similar to how Mewtwo has the same thing, attaching from the brain to the rest of the body. 2 necks, 2 spinal columns. It's something we've seen before, and adds to that wiriness, making it feel mechanical and off-putting. As I finished up the base structure of the body, I also found it looking a little like an alien Miraidon or Koraidon, which I'm pretty happy with, as those Pokemon as well were meant to be a combination of the biological, lizards, and the mechanical, motorcycles. So it feels as though we're on the right track. The arms, I will admit, did give me some pause, no pun intended, but it felt like if anything was going to keep a fairly one-to-one design, it should be the hands. The look of such a bestial form with these near humanoid hands sprouting from the sides gave the design this eerie vibe that just when you think you understand what there is, there's something that throws you for a loop. Plus, animals with human hands have always been a weird terror of mine. Oh yeah, let's change the subject. UB Devour, also known as Xenodile. The creature first appeared in a far-off region, but seems to have arrived here by hiding about in an oceanic vessel. They have a penchant for taking on the traits of defeated adversaries, and so can be difficult to strategize against. Now, if we're going to focus on the Xenomorph, then we absolutely cannot forget their greatest adversary. Of course, I'm talking about the alien predator, also known as the Yautja. These things are absolute devastators of the cosmos, as some of the premier hunters across multiple planets. Their only true weakness apparently being Austrian future Californian governors. If you don't count stabbing, crushing, and their own technology very often being used against them. Being so defined by their technology actually made this Pokemon a difficult design. I'd already kind of done the same thing with artificial and biological builds with the alien Xenomorph, so doing something here felt like it would be mimicking the same type of design that we've already done. I had to elevate it in some way or change it in a way that made it still feel like it makes sense. So I was forced to look at the other aspects that make this alien so well known. First up is their dreadlock-like tentacles that dangle from their domes. Often protruding from a slight elevated ridge on their heads, this design is elevated. When they wear their armored suits and masks, while their split jaws are equally as iconic. So I found it beyond difficult to adapt this feature without going the way of horror. I mean, as many times as I tried to make that weird mouth shape that the Predator is known for open and roaring, it just kept coming across as something horror-based rather than a Pokemon design. So I kept the split but simplified it to fit a more Pokemon style. My main motivation on this concept was to allow a reptilian amphibian build, while keeping much of the inspiration vague. I looked at geckos and decided to use the sticky feet in a more predatorial stance, and added these splotches to the legs almost to feel like a bandolier, as though this thing were outfitted with different tech and weapons, but not something that we could necessarily see, just giving the idea of that. This Pokemon also has retractable claws that spurt from their wrists and a throat pouch capable of expansion, which make this Pokemon feel like it is always adapting and changing to better fit the hunt. Overall, there's this crocodilian energy about the whole thing, especially with bringing in the net pattern that we see on the Predator to give that torso just a bit more energy and flow pulled to that area. Going a bit more human build allows this Pokemon to feel like an evolved type of Pokemon. But not in the Pokemon evolved way, more like the evolutionary Charles Darwin apex predator type of way. I'm hoping that makes sense. Evolution is a weird term thrown throughout Pokemon as well as in the real world, and they mean two very different yet distinct things. Here I wanted it to feel evolved in an elevated sense, as though this is what a perfect form of whatever it previously was would be. The colors used are meant to mimic a jungle and bring in more of that vibrant, poisonous dart frog type of look, and add in that built-in weaponry type of element. Overall, I'm happy with how it turned out. Although in the future I may try to evolve it to looking more like its armored variant, I wanted something a little bit more natural for this design. I wanted it to feel like an alien counterpart and not just something that was invented or added to. I wanted to stay away from the armored Mewtwo look, because that is a Pokemon wearing something, not necessarily a Pokemon. Meet UB Apex, also known as Predatrix. This Ultra Beast doesn't often appear alone, as it can be found not long after other Ultra Beasts have already made an appearance. It is unknown as of yet whether it hunts for food or for the thrill. What is known is that no matter how dangerous its quarry may be, this one seems to always be one tier above it and prepared to take it down.
This is a message from beyond the stars. We've hijacked this broadcast to remind you, human scum, to join the Discord linked down below for conversations around Transformers, Five Nights at Freddy's, and our favorite broadcast, Schneegelschnorp. Also, consider becoming a YouTube member for just $3 a month. This membership grants you early access to videos, and one member-only video per month, as well as a chance to enter our monthly giveaway. We bid thee farewell, human scum, in our native language. Like, comment, subscribe, and we return you to your transmission.
Now for the most dangerous of today's entries. This Ultra Beast hides in plain sight, so that it can so often be mistaken for a standard Pokemon. When turning Stitch into a Pokemon, I found it kind of difficult actually, for a number of reasons. One is that he already somewhat resembles one, hitting all of the key points to be a companion type of animal. Number two is that so many other artists and creators have already taken on this type of challenge with Stitch and his plethora of cousins. One decision that I made was to look at other dog-type Pokemon, as that's who Stitch is trying to mimic, or accidentally mimics. Lilo adopts him from the pound, believing him to just be your run-of-the-mill mutant blue puppy. His body and tail patterning are also very similar to Growlithe, having the stripes on the back and the tuft of fur on the front. So I expanded on that idea, making them look a little bit closer while still keeping them blue, even down to the stripes along the back, but his face is primarily still Stitch, with a few added tufts of fur because while he is an abomination, he's also cute and fluffy. I'd love to take a look at his other cousins as Pokemon as well, but with the challenge that came with creating this one, I know it would require a little bit of extra time and effort. I never would have guessed that the Xenomorph would be an easier translation, but here we are. Experiment 626 was built to wreak havoc, and so making something that's built for infiltration and so easily disguises itself, intentional or not, as other Pokemon, feels like it works, not only for the design, but for the lore of the alien itself. I mean, picture this. You and your partner Pokemon come upon another trainer who wants a battle. You send out your Pikachu, Charmander, what have you, and they ready their ball and throw out what they think is a shiny Growlithe, only to have this thing come bursting forth. You feel like something's up, but you don't want to ruin their fun, so you go in with the battle, and in the end, while you're able to walk away, you can't help but feel like someone is being fooled here, and you don't know if it's the trainer or their blue mutant puppy thing. UB Mayhem, also known as Belehu. The name is a combination of the word blue and the Hawaiian word for mayhem, Elehu. With Lilo and Stitch coming out soon, this is definitely a design that I'd have plenty of opportunity to play with and a potential for evolving this guy probably in a future video. One thing that I love about Ultra Beasts is how they can be so abstract of design based around ideas and concepts. I mean, there was that theory, which I actually still don't know if it's proven or disproven, that the first Ultra Beasts that we were introduced to were meant to mimic the 7 deadly sins. And so rather than being based around specific animals, they were based around ideas. So what better alien to take on this type of challenge than a spacefaring Clintar parasite?
Parasite?
Right, symbiote. As a major comics fan, I couldn't do an alien as Pokemon video without touching on our resident Spider-Man clone turned lethal protector. Venom has so much to his design, whether it be the Spider-Man logo on his chest, ghostly, inky eyes, sharp teeth, or that elongated Gene Simmons style tongue. Not to mention his penchant for taking on the traits of his current and former hosts. And before anyone says that he doesn't retain his former host traits, I want to remind everyone of the Spider-Man logo on his chest and the lore that he became so rabid due to bonding with Deadpool prior to Spider-Man and Secret Wars issue 8. Venom has gone through quite the evolution in his time, starting out as a recommendation by a young comic reader to Todd McFarlane, designing the character as an evil counterpart to Peter Parker, to becoming an anti-hero with his very own rogues gallery. Currently, where's the Venom symbiote? But that's more of a major spoiler, so we're not going to actually include their name. I went through a number of iterations, but settled on the idea of consumption, and making the whole body one giant mouth, using a few areas to highlight the tongue aspects, and bring in a little pink to the color scheme to break up those huge blocks of black and white. I've actually drawn Venom as a Pokemon before in our Marvel Rivals video, and so wanted to stray away from the same type of spider look. It may be cheating to cut out such a monumental part of the design, but if Sony can do it, then so can I. The tongue wrapping around the head definitely feels heavily Greninja inspired, and I think I'm okay with that. I mean, I feel like I kind of have to be at this point, right? A lot of the Pokemon that we've designed today draw inspiration from already existing Pokemon, and while that may feel like a down spot, I feel like it's a huge improvement, like it's an exceptional point, because a lot of the aliens that we look at and a lot of aliens that make it in horror and make it a point that they can exist in that realm and that genre is because they take on aspects that we're familiar with, whether that be from us as humans or from other animals. So having it appear or look like or resemble something that already exists feels very much in vein with aliens. I mean, look at this thing. It looks like if Darkrai and Greninja had a baby that was dropped into the world of Bendy and the Ink Machine before making its way back to the Pokemon world. UB Symbiote, also known as Venacious, a play on Venom and Voracious. Like, you know, a voracious appetite. Since the dawn of time, humankind has been interested in the concept that something may exist out there, something just beyond our purview and just beyond our reach. Speaking of just beyond our reach, I post all of these to Patreon where you can get the high-res images for just $5 a month at the minimum tier, but there are other tiers in case you want to get added bonuses as well. You can also find designs like these over on my Ko-fi, where I sell off designs that I don't intend to use in future projects, but are still sometimes featured in videos. There are also some designs there that aren't in videos, so you get a couple little extras as well. All that said, it sounds like you know where to find me, and I'll catch you in the next one. But before we go, I want to give a shout out to all of our supporters and people who help make these videos possible. Big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters, those being Sean, Elandriel, Sky, Yuji Sakaki, Lex Wright, Drake Null, Jeremy Sunday, Cam Nor Shorter, Justin Grenier, Siren Shadows, Daniel, Kaylin Cat, Soren Frost, Stix TV, and Dan Bush. And a big McThankies from McSpankies to all of our YouTube members, those being Lynxia, Raijuno, Sigil Sealed, Zed Ravenmore, Siren Shadows, Somni Stars, Kaylin Cat, and Crimbo McSwizzle. Really couldn't do any of this without all of my supporters and people who really just love the content, so thank you. If you can't support, one of the best things that you could do for the channel is leave a like. It does so much more than you know, helps me in the algorithm, and helps people know that these videos exist. So I'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Let's hop into today's video.